Hello, everyone. I am here on another Sunday, and it's Ace Attorney, the great Ace Attorney to resolve, as you can see here. And yeah, we're in case 2. I'm gonna try and finish it tonight. We have the whole of day 2 to go. So I'm thinking, like, if the other cases are any indication, I'm looking at 4 or 5 hours, which is fine. So, let's get it started, shall we? I don't really have anything to say other than that. Um, Hope everyone is doing super well tonight. Um, yeah. Continue. Investigation part 2. Last time, a lot happened, actually, so, I don't even know where to begin with recapping it, but we got through day 1 of the trial. As usual, by the absolute skin of our teeth. Now it is the 23rd of October, 2:41 p.m. at Naruhodo's legal consultancy. Susato is back with us. Oh, this room, it's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to stay so familiar. I didn't know when you might return, and I wanted everything to be as you'd left it. But it has been some 6 months. It's true. Oh shoot, my little VTuber. I almost forgot to join the voice call. Yeah. There we go. Now I'm back. What did you say? So is your father all right, Susie? What happened? My father? My father? Yes, Professor Mikotoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan. Because of the telegram you received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason. That's right. So I was surprised to learn that you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised, but happy. I think I wrote about it in my letter to you, that it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that. Well, we're all delighted to have you back. It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium. The International Forensic... That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Anyway, it was all a trick. I deceived you. Oh yeah, Professor Drowsy over here. Hey Paperstar, how you doing? Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh. You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan. Yes, of course, I shall. And there's one other thing. Oh yeah, that's good. Lazy days are fun. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you-know-who. About Kazuma. I know. I'll tell you all that I can. Oh, it's so good to see her again, although in the wrong outfit. There was a little shopping mall on the boat, so she was able to buy some new digs. When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely. The awful trial... Oh yes, for the murder of Giselle Brett. Oh, you dressed up as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes, since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow, amazing! I wish I'd seen it, don't you, Bruno? Yes, I suppose so. I want to play at being a lawyer now. With a false moustache, maybe. You prefer this outfit? I like this one, but I think I do prefer her original clothes. I don't think any mustache could hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Miss Susato. No, she's not still cross-dressing. This is there's bonus outfits, DLC, like, bonus outfits like there were in, Dual Destinies and Spirit of Justice. So Ryu is in a bonus outfit as well, and so is Mr. Sholmes. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Miss Susato. About the real reason. Oh, no. No, she wouldn't still be cross-dressing. That was only for the one case so that she could be in the courtroom in Japan. Kind of like a Mulan situation where she had to dress as a man to do what she needed to do. But now that there's no need for that anymore because she's not going back in the courtroom. But the real reason why Professor Mikotoba summoned you back to Japan. You said it was something. Said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings. That's right. The very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet. Why would that be, then? Father came to Britain himself, of course. Study, it was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Oh, Susie. That's a very meaningful look Susato-san's giving Iris there. Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend. Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jikogu have been invited. It's something of an honor, I believe. Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensic medicine in our country, after all. But who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say? Yes. His Excellency, Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruhodo. Last year, in the Supreme Court. You couldn't possibly have forgotten. That's right, this judge has a name. That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder? Ah, yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days. Well, it was just Jikoku. Jikogu? Jikoku? I'm trying my best, y'all. Who presided over that trial? If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy to never see that man's face again in my life. Oh, well, anyway, as Father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning Jikoku. Okay. Jigoku, yeah. He agreed to me returning to Britain, too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and then in the end he agreed to me going on ahead. Yes, about the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. Obviously very important. I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General. Most senior position in the British justice system. He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition. Does Professor Mikotoba know Lord Strongheart personally then, I wonder? Oh, I have to turn back the blind command on. Hold on a second. No, not that. Amazing, you make one typo and then search bars are like, hey, did you mean that? Cool, got that taken care of now. Back to the lab. Alright, actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech all about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen to much of it. I'm trying for you. Lost the will to live. I love this. I love that. Giselle Brett. The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes, Giselle Brett. Yes, Giselle Brett. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live. The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget. Sorry? Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist. What? It didn't exist? But how can that be? It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin. And she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front. front. Who on earth was she then? Miss A. Shin. Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery. I remember A. Shin at the very end of the last game. That was one of the 4 names on the Japanese Morse code message. But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to? I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand. Woof! I love this song, by the way. And now she's been killed. While all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered. I'm afraid so. Hey, Shin. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? Because you have. What about Kazuma? After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange. I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on in that visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never. Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at the time, but later I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama. I know, yeah. And what did you learn? After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there. Should have been? Well, it turns out that his body never arrived. What is going on? What? I named the last episode of this what within like all caps, I think. Now what am I gonna name this one? Huh? It just disappeared. Yeah, I can't get over that Paper Star. She's so British, and yet she turned out to be. No wonder we never saw her face, actually. That makes perfect sense now. She probably hit her face for that reason. What? Kazuma's body vanished? Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except, Kazuma-sama isn't there. Did Professor Mikotoba know about this? Yes, it would seem that he did, but he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Kazuma-sama's body as we speak. I just don't believe it. And what is this acute feeling of apprehension that I have all of a sudden? The Kazuma mystery. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Blue were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be? Could it be that he's actually still alive? Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to... Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much. Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo. When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly. You're right. Yeah, but where do you have a burial on a ship in the middle of the ocean? How do you never see the body again? For the entire rest of that journey. I guess they keep it. Yeah, but a burial at sea, that's different from just throwing a body overboard without... I guess it's not, but like... It's not a consented burial at sea. If Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us. But there's no reason why he possibly would have done such a thing. I suppose that's true, yes. The idea that he still might be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it. Because if it turned out to not be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again. I know you're just poking fun. I'm terrified of what that might do to me. Oh, Miss Susato. I know she's given the idea the thought it deserves. It's Susato-san we're talking about after all, so I probably shouldn't push it now. You're still taking good care of that armband, I see. I'm so pleased. Well, yes, it feels like I wouldn't be me without it now, to be honest. Oh dear, there seems to be a thread coming loose just there. Look. I'd be only too happy to mend it for you, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, thank you. I must have scraped it against something again. I'm always doing that. Then take better care of it, please. It was all going so well, until I ruined it. Dear Lord. Is Iris here? Yeah, she is. Okay, that's what I thought. I noticed Move was disabled. Must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's old notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I called it The Hound of the Baskervilles. But then Mr. Scholz forbade you from publishing it, and put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it. So nobody knows anything about it, apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it. Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time. Oh! Oh, this ought to be good. I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study, and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There's a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, wait a minute, let me... Oh, okay, yeah. It read, The Hound of the Baskervilles. What? My Baskerville story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time, but Father came in and... Susato, what are you doing? Susato, what are you doing? Oh, Father. Did you look at those papers? No, I simply read the label, that's all. Well, put it out of your mind. Sorry? Forget that you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anyone else about this. Do you understand? I don't trust Hank Hill over here. But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan? I have no idea, but when I heard Iris mention the word Baskerville that day, it just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholmes' exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it. I have no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still. I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie. Oh, I love Iris. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating you are. I've committed every detail about the case to memory. And Iris has told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well. So, you're fully abreast of the situation already, Mrs. Zato. I'd expected nothing less, to be honest. I would think our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber. The engineer responsible for the... What was the man's first name? Is he in the profiles yet? Oh, this hideous child is still here. You, I love you. The engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine is used to effect this extraordinary trick. Yes, a conjurer of sorts, and by the sound of it, well known in the fields of science and magic. Then we need to go and arrest him. Well, yes. He must know the truth behind the case, so I agree we really do need to find the man. It sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down. Which is a job for the police, or a great detective. Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think. I have this dreadful feeling that Madame Tuspels is responsible for this. Somehow. I have no idea how on earth she would be related. But, like, I'm scared of that possibility. Oh, you're not coming today. I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. But let me know later how you got on, won't you? That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Well, I mean, we all... I've never done the herb, but like... Some people are into it, I don't know. Oh, no one is here, huh? Unless he is. Oh, the Stradivarius is still here, cool. Mr. Sholmes' famous violin. The one he found being sold for a song at a pawnbrokery. What was it called again? A Shoddy something? Oh yes, this wonderful instrument features in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. It's a world-famous Stradivarius. What? Stradivarius, Mr. Naruhodo. Stragivore. Are you even trying now? We'll come back to this another time, I think. Oh, poor Ryu. Let's go down the line, see if anything comes up. What the hell? 23rd October, Lord Chief Justice's office. Is that the masked man? No, it's not. Oh, who's that standing beside Lord Strongheart? I wonder. I've never seen her before. That's a woman. Ah, the young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand. And you've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result. Oh, you mean because of Professor Harebrained experiment? Yeah, science being demonstrated at London's great exhibition. The country's been made to look foolish, and now politicians are scrambling to respond. Lord Van Zeeks is in Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing. Oh dear, I didn't mean to cause any trouble. None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. The special dispensation that prevents investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Once that happens, my forensic investigation team will move in and deal with that scrap metal in no time. Scrap metal now, is it? Until later then, Lord Strongheart. Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. She's cute. No, not cute. Hot. She's hot. Let's be real. Who was that? That was Dr. Courtney Scythe, Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner. She's leading the forensic investigation team's handling of this case. Oh, she's your wife, huh? Larga, you mentioned that you had a wife in this case. I assume that'd be she. Oh, no? Not her? Okay. We'll get there when we get there. I just wasn't sure. She was just delivering her report about the victim, in fact. Oh, I see. About Mr. Aspen. Following the outcome of that trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to reevaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you what she concluded. If you want to know, you'll have to ask her directly. You can find her in the forensics laboratory. Ah, right. Now, what were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time. So he's not running quite so spectacularly late anymore. You know, for the Lord Chief Justice, he's surprisingly accessible. What exactly is the forensic investigation team that you mentioned before? The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary in the world. For that to happen, it's imperative that we embrace forensic science and everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago now, unofficially of course, to pave the way. Goodness, a year ago? At next month's symposium, I intend to present the results of their work to the world. Once I do that, the House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensic division. Once that happens, the position of Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer dearly. What do you mean? For too long, these scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes. London scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in the fires of hell. I intend to see to it personally. By creating the finest police force the world has ever known to protect our honor and our future. Look at those eyes. He means every word. Dr. Scythe is an extremely reliable coroner. When I officially establish the forensics division of Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman. Now then, speaking of the symposium, Miss Mikotoa. Oh, yes, my lord? Your father should be on the high seas as we speak, making his way here to represent the Empire of Japan. Yes, that's right. I understand he will arrive at the beginning of next month. Are you acquainted, Lord Strongheart? With Professor Mikotoba, I mean. It was many years ago now, but yes, I remember Dr. Mikotoba very well. Well, it's next in the line now. If my memory serves, it was some 15 years ago now that your father came to Britain as a visiting student. Huh? She's how old? What the hell? Jesus, for some reason I thought she was like 18 or like 17 or 19, something like that. I always forget that Susato is so young because she can be so brilliant. And like when Maya was 16, she was great. She wasn't like brilliant. Mikotoba was a young practitioner for forensic science, and Jikogu accompanied him as a young, promising judge. The punctiliousness and politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed us greatly. Not that I wish to imply impoliteness or carelessness on your part in any way. I didn't think that you were. Dr. Mikotoba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals. St. Sinners, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Scythe was also there then, as it happened. True, yeah. I guess she's not, but I mean, adult Maya is fantastic. Oh, Maya is just fantastic. Then Dr. Scythe knows my father, does she? She was a young medical assistant at the time, so I doubt their paths crossed regularly. But I've no doubt they knew each other superficially. After all, Dr. Mikotoba was studying this subject for some 6 years in total. 6 years? That's a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it? I lived with my grandmother in those years. So he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years? It was a rather turbulent time at home. Oh, perhaps father wanted a reason to get away. What do you mean? Why? She wasn't like unwanted, was she? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. Lord Van Zieks. I wanted to ask you about Lord Van Zieks, actually. I heard that his older brother was killed some years ago by a mass murderer known as the Professor, who targeted nobles and royalty. Is that right? You Japanese are a thorough lot. You've done your research well. Yes. And you could say that it was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper. What? Why? When his brother, Clint Van Zieks, was murdered, it was just after young Baroque had graduated from the University of London and become a prosecutor. When obvious criminals who managed to evade conviction in court started disappearing, rumors quickly spread throughout the capital. Londoners started to say that wherever Baroque Van Zieks went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind. Oh my word! So Lord Van Zieks isn't the Reaper, it's the ghost of his brother? Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in London's legal circles. Oh yes, Lord Strongheart. Go ahead. About Professor Harebrain's experimental machine, we'd like your permission to examine the remains if possible. Are you well versed in science then? Not in the slightest. In fact, you could say I was barely aware of the subject at all until recently, not the omission I would want. Well, the special dispensation legally preventing investigation of the machine is currently being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Scythe's team of forensic experts will begin their own investigation. But I suppose until then, there's no harm in you looking at the wreckage, as long as you touch nothing. Thank you. Being able to look at it is better than nothing. And I'll be able to see it too. Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me now, I'm afraid. My next engagement calls. We are extremely sorry to have troubled you when you were so busy, my lord. I have important matters to attend to in preparation for the symposium, you understand. He did something. He's going to do something. Let's visit my man, Harebrain. Really, dude? Oh my god. Local prison cell 11. It's local prison cell 11. What's he doing? He's... Oh my! The whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations. Huh? ICH equals S. Give it... No. S of t equals v of t over dt. Okay, that's like a derivative. the stupid cell wall, and he's still writing more now. Professor, sorry to interrupt. What equals alpha minus 1, negative alpha minus 1 over alpha? Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, and who is this young lady? My name is Susato Mikostoba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor. Oh, if only I met a refined young woman like you sooner, I wouldn't have married Charlene. None of this would have happened. No, that's not logical. This makes no sense at all. Oh dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you. I owe you an apology too, Professor. I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning. Oh no. This whole thing, this whole miserable affair, it all happened because I've been such a complete and utter clot. Professor Harebrained. P of negative 1 over alpha plus 1 equals 1 minus phi? Is that phi? X equals VXT. I can't read his handwriting. Those are physics equation. Vy equals V sine theta. I don't even know what the hell's going on with that modulus. And okay, yeah. ABC is a right triangle. It's one of those. Tell me the answer is 23. All right, I kind of believe. Maybe not. Oh, P of negative alpha minus 1 over alpha equals 0. F of what? Is that L? Is it F of L equals MA of T? I don't know. All of these seem weird and beyond my understanding of math, but I'm fascinated. I see the parabolic curve up there. Hey, Eggers, how you doing, by the way? Oh, haha, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see, and I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had to hand. I believe that it will end up creating a baking soda volcano. Oh, is it some new hypothesis? Got 2 days off next week? Nice. So Mike has 40 hot dogs and you have 10 dogs. Take 10 hot dogs to 8 acres. Yeah, I love those. Something to surpass super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe? No, actually, this is my autobiography. Your autobiography? I was diddled and fiddled by Albert. I don't like that. I don't like that title. By Albert Harebrained. I found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers and ambitious set of simultaneous equations. I don't like that name at all, actually. Really? I'm going to have to pay back all of the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see. There's going to be a new serial publication from next month. Part 1, An Odd Birth, An Odd Upbringing. It started with the day of my birth. Both of my parents failed to show up. You can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. I see. Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little about the case? Oh, yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers. I was diddled, I was fiddled, but apparently, please stop saying that. My husband and an aloof engineer, Trevor. I have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we? I really hope I don't have to... Oh, thank... Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Aspen, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even. I'm sorry it's come to this. There was really no other way. No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public. No, of course you didn't. But in court this morning, I realized something. Oh? If you've done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it makes no difference if you were aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me. Oh, Professor. He believed in me this morning, you know. Barack did. He believed in my hypothesis. Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case. No, Barack wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it. Did he? I think I understand now. Why it was that he decided to take on the prosecution of my trial, I mean. Alright, here we go. After the terrible accident had happened, nobody would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not any lawyers even. Felt like I dealt some kind of finishing blow there. So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Barack, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense. And if I had a nickel for every time that happened, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right? And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor. Exactly, which would have been a fate worse than death for me. But Barack insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish. You think that's why he... I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul. But that extremely kind-hearted soul... It does work well. Whoever suggested it, I think it was Paperstar who suggested that. Thank you. I'm sorry my doof is probably not up to par. Spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he? Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it. And what about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? Do you think he set out to trick me from the very start? I'm sorry to say that does seem likely, yes. When I first met him, it was crazy. He said, here's my number, so call me maybe. He introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused. He was so empathetic. But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seemed. Financier? I've been the financier. I still can't believe it. As the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic, it probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually. But the scale of it, it wasn't just some small trick. It was a very elaborate feat of deception. All young scientists are full of hope about their burgeoning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money. We want to do research, but we can't afford it. I know, I feel that. Many of us take on barely legal part-time work to try and earn a few measly pennies to carry on. We go through all of that only to be taken for a complete fool. It's too rotten to believe. It is, I agree. And that's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Asmund is no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber. Is he an engineer, or a magician, or a swindler? It was about a year ago when Mr. Asmund first brought Drebber to meet me in my laboratory. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the Kinesis machine. But at no point did you have any inkling that he was just an illusionist? Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist. What do you mean? He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. It's instantly apparent in conversation. I see. But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. Are there no more clues you can give us as to his whereabouts? I'm sorry, we only ever discussed the Kinesis machine. Nothing else. We didn't even talk about my daughter Vanessa. She's 16, you know. I've been trying so hard to get her a Mary MacGuffin doll for her birthday, I just haven't been able to do it. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop. What workshop? Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory where he constructed my great machine. Why didn't you mention this before? Enoch Drebber's workshop. There's every chance we might find the land there. Also, my wife, Bayonetta, yes. Charlene. It's amazing that I have no money, considering I get a big alimony check from my ex-wife every month. So you've been to Drebber's place of work, then? Yes, just once, you understand. It was an enormous place, plenty of room to construct a Kinesis machine, you see. Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance that we'll find Drebber there. Well, yes, definitely, I'm sure, as in, I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this. But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry. I was more than half expecting that. You see, I was blindfolded. What the hell? This is like this is like the shit where like the cartel takes you out into the desert. You didn't think anything was wrong with that at the time. You see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way there. He blindfolded you? He wasn't taking any chances. The place was incredible. The pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best. A special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Ah, the indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers around the world should forget their secret formula and use that instead. What do you think, Mr. Zato? Oh, the machine for your next... I've never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruhodo, and I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's dress, Professor. You don't have a business card for Mr. Drebber, for example? The man was clearly very cautious, Mr. Zato. I'm sure he would never have... Yes, I do! He gave me his business card once. It's right here. What the hell? Look! Let me see that. Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you? Enoch Drebber, engineer. I'm afraid that's all it says. There's no address. Oh well, I can't say I'm surprised. Still, this could be useful. Dear lord, dude. What the fuck is all this? This dark smudge here. I think perhaps it's machine oil. Ah yes, possibly. Professor Harebrain mentioned something about the oil Mr. Drebber uses, didn't he? He said it was specially imported very high quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Yes, that's right, but more importantly, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfume, so excuse me a moment. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all. Don't worry, I expect that's just because there's such a tiny amount on here. Thanks, dude. Oh, Paper Star, while you're here, if you want to promote your, that drawing you did of Madame Tuspells, you're more than welcome to. You were able to get some business cards made for free once, just put your name on them and had no use for them. If you want, you can write info on the back. Yeah. Oh. One sec. I had no idea there were so many people in the world. I know what you mean. It's really packed here today. It feels as though it's taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowds at this point. Has it? I shut my brain down, so I really didn't notice, to be honest. Gosh, I do wish I had your absence in mind sometimes, Mr. Naruhodo. There you are. I had a feeling your lot would show your mugs before long. Oh, Inspector Gregson, I see you're hard at work as usual. Warm greetings to you. I do hope you've been keeping well since we last met. What's all the ceremony? We just saw each other in court this morning. Not you, Sunshine. The gentlewoman so loyally at your side. Oh. Why, thank you, Inspector. How good of you to notice. He might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. As you probably guessed, we were hoping to investigate the scene some more. Right, well, that's the young trainee's domain. Oi, get over here, Gina. Oh, like... She seems to be busy playing with the puppy, probably giving it a traditional East End training. Gina? She's a police officer now? Amazing, isn't it? She's a good kid, actually. Heart's in the right place, anyway. She's got the detection bug, if you ask me. Yup, I think she'll follow in my footsteps nicely. What do you mean? I'm being transferred. It's time for me to say toodle-oodle on me. Oh no, really? That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. Where are you going to be posted then? We'll come to see how you're getting along. Haha, not likely, but you're welcome to try. If you don't mind a trip to France, that is. France? I'll be working in the Paris Police Prefecture. Should be right up my alley. But France, it's an entirely different country. I don't understand. Why would you be sent there? That's the way the adult world works, Sunshine. Now don't go poking your nose in where it's not wanted. I'm intending to take the kid with me when I go. What? You're taking Gina to Paris? Well, I can't leave her here in London. Who knows what would become of her? Suppose he's worried that she'd slip back into slipping her hands into people's pockets and purses. I don't think he's worried about her pickpocketing, Mr. Naruhodo. I think he's worried about the Reaper. Oh, of course. So that's playing on Inspector Gregson's mind too, is it? Anyway, I haven't mentioned any of this to Gina, so don't go blabbing, you hear me? No, of course not. I've got to keep that Dive-In Diva safe and sound. Till this is all over, at least. Oi, did you just call me a bloomin' Dive-In Diva again? So you heard that, did you? Right, well, any questions about the scene, you can put them to my capable detective Devo here. Alright, you are the boss. Inspector Lestrade's in charge here now. Suppose I better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. So, Gina, you have a new dog, do you? Isn't he great? Toby's his name. Oh, he's so cute! Oh, how delightful! He's absolutely adorable. Yes, the dog does seem lovely, but it's not so it's a not so lovely Inspector Gregson that's playing on my mind, to be honest. Gina, we were officially hoping we could investigate the scene again. Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like. Oh, that's alright, is it? I'm gonna be playing with my new friend here. Ah yes, Toby. Woof, woof. The machine that exploded must be at the top of those stairs, I presume? I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go up there, Suze. Suze? Oh! Like I told Otto yesterday. Even I ain't allowed near that wreck. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch it, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Is that what you're thinking of? That's the one. That's why only them lot are allowed to investigate it. What are they called again? The forensic something? Forensic investigation team? Is that what you're thinking about? That's the one, yeah. Isn't it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted? I think so. I don't really get it, to be truthful with you. You're still supposed to get permission from some bigwig or other, as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something? I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps? Oh, I definitely did this in the wrong order. That's the one, yeah. Apparently he's always watching the time or something. Actually, we've just recently been to see... Oh, okay, never mind. It's Lord Strongheart. Eh? You what? You've met... Last time the boss was called to go and see him. He waited for 3 hours at the Coles office and came back sniveling. Tragic. Well, Lord Strongheart has given us permission to examine the scenes, as long as we touch nothing. Oh yeah? Honestly. Alright then, go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, it'll be the boss who gets it. He'll never eat another chip again in his life. So you're saying all this is above board, are you? I'm sure everything will be fine. That really would be tragic. Alright then, them's the stairs. Off you go. Oh, thank you, Gina. It makes me so happy to see Gina doing well. You have no idea. Great, weren't it? I had a right laugh. There's a new one on me, that. You know, Being in court and not spending the whole time worrying about some alarm I'm about to be found out. You did keep an awful lot of secrets in all your previous court appearances, didn't you? Yeah, and Oto's made things hard for me every single time though. Just doing my job, Gina. Watching someone else get in the neck is a lot of fun, actually. It's amazing when you show that dodgy professor's dodgy experiment was a total fix. The dodgy professor, as you put it, Gina, is Mr. Naruhodo's client. Yes, I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though. It's the boss I feel sorry for. Sent off to the impossible. What do you mean? You're supposed to arrest that other Coavanti, and in time for the trial, and in time for tomorrow, though. You know, the dodgy engineer. What's his name again? Mr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber? That's the one, yeah. The police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. I guess they would be. Putting too much on the boss, if you ask me. He says it's giving him gut ache. Oh dear, but I do wonder if that actually isn't from all the fried food. Stop adding things. I want to talk about Toby the dog. So Scotland Yard are trying to track down Mr. Enoch Drebber. I wonder if they had any luck. He's really funny looking. Got two eyes what don't match. Still a glimpse of a picture of him earlier. I mean, I didn't actually pinch it or nothing. The old devil's got it. Sorry, who? You know, the Scarlin Reaper what's always glugging down glasses that blood red plunk. Lord Van Seeks. He's always had it in for me, that cove. Don't know what he's always scowling about, mind. Probably would have been a good boss, I suppose. He'd rather be the Reaper's apprentice than a detective's trainee. The way I see it, if the choice is between a chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-clanging demigod, you're equally badly off with both. I suppose you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that. Glad we put that one to bed. Anyway, the point is, everyone at the yard's dead set on finding the fishy engineer. But there don't seem to be no clues to go on, so they're stuck. Well, I know what I'm presenting. Toby the dog, finally. Where did you find that little mutt then, Gina? Wait, don't be so flamin' rude, Oto. Light overreaction, did you think? Ain't no mutt, alright? Toby's, how did they put it? Pure bread? Oh yeah, he's a bona fide detective. Sorry? So I've got given him a proper little title and everything. It's Chief Inspector Toby to you. More senior than Inspector Gregson, is he? Oh, so he's a police dog, is he? The police recruit dogs now. I've heard that they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing. They're used for chasing criminals and such like. They have a wonderful sense of smell after all. I have a fairly good sense of smell myself as it happens. Oh my god. No, you don't. I can tell undergarments that have been freshly laundered from undergarments that haven't. Ah, that's nothing compared to this little fellow, though. Oh, really? According to what the boss said. Once Toby here's got a good whiff of your drawers. He could chase that scent to the other side of the world. What? To the other side of the world? You mean he can swim? Mr. Naruhodo, I think you may have missed the point by rather a wide margin. Man, I'm proud of Ryu for being able to tell dirty underwear apart from clean underwear, but like, I think anybody can do that, buddy. I'm telling you, Oto, there's gonna be more and more dogs doing their bit for the police in the future. Yes, I agree. Right, one of these days they'll be barking orders at us lot, not the other way around. Oh dear, sorry Gina, I don't think I agree with your vision quite that much. Well, anyway, whatever you think about it, Toby here is Britain's first police dog. I found him on down the East End the other day. Someone had just chucked him out on the street. There you go. I knew she'd lifted him from somewhere. Gina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you? To children and to animals. I wonder if I should present the motor oil to it now, or just go up to the thing. I'll probably go up to the thing first. Do things in the order I was originally intending. I'll come back for this. Oh wait, I have to fucking... Great Exhibition Grounds, experimentation stage. Oh my, so this is the machine that was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis has taken place. Can't we just call it the Teleportinator, because he's Doofenshmirtz? That's what I'm going to call it from now on. Yes, that's right, or rather, it was the Teleportinator. It's a little worse for wear at the moment. What extraordinary lengths Professor Harebrain went to in order to obtain the research grant. No, the professor was strict as well. He didn't know anything about it. Yes, of course. It is amazing, though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is so very British. You're right about that. You never see such a grand deception in Japan, that's for sure. Oh, look, is that... Hey, cutie! Lord Manzeeks? So, I think we're more or less done here, aren't we? Shall we, Mr. Zelda? Already? He is the Reaper, remember? We'd do well to keep our distance, I think. But we have permission to be here, from the top. We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine, as long as we don't touch anything. From the top. Oh, it's Lord Strong. Oh, oh, exactly. So we can stay here and stare at this wreckage for as long as we like. It is kind of funny. I would like to see him ride that Ferris wheel. She could have been sent at the center of the explosion here, and it wouldn't have bent her steel well. What a terrible explosion it must have been. Even the steel girders are buckled and twisted in the blast. What they call the bird cage is right in the middle of it all, just here. But look, Mr. Naruhodo, that metal grill on the floor. Looks as though it's designed to open. It does, doesn't it? If the floor had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred, the birdcage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight. I don't think there's any doubt that this was a very elaborate hoax, is there? Is that it? Is the only thing I'll have... I hear that ride on a Ferris wheel is a favorite romantic outing among young London couples. I think the romance would be slightly spoilt by the abject terror, personally, but then I'm not a Londoner. Are you a little scared of heights, Mr. Naruhodo? It's not that I'm scared, not at all. It's just that staying on the ground seems so much safer. Well, perhaps I should have to ask Iris and Mr. Sholmes to accompany me on it in that case. When you put it like that, part of me does want to give it a try. Ooh, he wants to go on the ride with Sholmes. Oh dear, it's complicated for you, isn't it? Oh, isn't that exhilarating? All this different architecture from all corners of the world. It does make you feel a bit like an explorer, doesn't it? I know it's all subjective, but the onion-shaped roofs have caught my attention personally. It is very subjective, isn't it? Japanese buildings with their wood and paper construction have excellent ventilation. And I've realized that British buildings, being made from brick and stone, are very strong and long-lasting. The more you know about how things are done in other countries, the more you understand your own ideals. Oh yes, I do agree with you there, but I can't help wondering what an onion does for the roof of the building. I mean, I suppose it's playing on my mind because I don't like the taste of onions. You really oughtn't let your taste in vegetables dictate your taste in roofs, Mr. Naruhodo. I can't believe we have to investigate, like, literally nothing, except for Manzeeks here. Ugh, least approachable man in the world winner, 10 years in a row. Be strong, Mr. Naruhodo. Your country and your assistant stand firm behind you. Lord Manzeeks? What? Well... Beautiful weather we're having, isn't it? I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed. Apparently you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs. Oh, I read them. So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited. Ah, well, the thing is... Lord Chief Justice Strongheart granted us permission to investigate, on the condition that we didn't disturb anything. And yet you've managed to disturb me. I had a feeling that's where that was going. Ah. Never mind. State your business, then. Come to think of it, there are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Manzeeks about. Not least of which is that awful case, even though it's nothing to do with this. Ask away, Mr. Naruhodo. You won't know unless you try. Oh, really? We're starting off with this? So, Clint was the name of your older brother, I understand, Lord Manzeeks? What a smooth... You Nipponese, I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So, you've been investigating me, have you? Oh, no, it's not like that. Well, alright, it is a bit like that. My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was the pride of the Manzeeks family. But tragically, a vicious killer took him from us. Professor, you mean? Is something funny? That's the extent of what you discovered, is it? I shouldn't be surprised. Sorry, there's more to it then? Lackluster work is very much your trademark, isn't it? Ugh, you're too kind. Are you going to tar all Nipponese with the same brush next? So tell me, what's your interest in that historic incident? As it happens, Lord Manzeeks, there's a rather curious case that's come to our attention. Huh? Are you aware of Madame Dispel's Museum of Waxwork by any chance? I am, naturally. I believe that since last month, I feature in one of the displays there, for public scorn. Of course, the infamous Reaper of the Bailey would have to be exhibited, wouldn't he? Well, a particular waxwork has been stolen from the place, and held for ransom. A particular waxwork? Which... Wait, you don't mean... Yes, it's the professor. Mr. Sholmes is investigating the case as we speak. I was unaware of that. He's turned as white as a sheet. Are the police trying to locate the engineer, Mr. Drever, already? Surely that goes without saying. We're very keen to see him found as well. The trouble is we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier. Which, according to Professor Hairbrain, was of a tall, thin gentleman who has a straight white hair and wears a black monocle. So I was just wondering, I mean, I realize it's probably not possible, but we'd very much appreciate any more clues you can give us. Wow, Susato-san really knows how to take the bull by the horns. Fine. Thank you for the host, Rabbit. How you doing, buddy? Fine. Why not? I have a photograph of the man here, from an investigation 10 years ago. Mark, he's kinda hot. Though it appears he already had that black monocle at the time. What is it with the... Ugh. He looks like Lucius, but like a little more chiseled. And with that black monocle. What? Oh, no, nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us. We all need the man's testimony in court tomorrow, which means we have to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the short time available. So why wouldn't I show you the photograph? What is it about Lord Van Zieks? Sometimes I just can't work him out at all. I'll work him out for you. Hello, Masked Man. Ah, the father requested for the trial tomorrow. Thank you. Are you alright? Who is this man, Mr. Naruhodo? Lord Van Zieks' apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Susato-san can see it too. Lord Van Zieks, may we speak with your apprentice for a moment? With him? Why? Oh, he looked this angle too. I am eating so well this case, honestly. Oh, literally, this case has just fed me. Kazuma-san! What? Kazuma? I don't believe- what the fuck? Your posture, your presence, it can only be- it's you, isn't it, Kazuma-sama? What the fuck? I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloaked figure. As if I knew him somehow. Can it really be you, Kazuma? Wait! Too late. What's going on here? What is your interest in my apprentice exactly? You act as if you know the man or something. Well, since when has he been in your care? I don't recall you having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago. Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now. His instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor. But he didn't tell you why, did he? The man appears to be suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten every last detail about himself. He has amnesia? Tomorrow he will appear in court at my side. What? He's to serve as my judicial assistant on Lord Strongheart's orders. He'll be in court with us? Now then, unless I'm much mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course. Oh, yes, thank you. I definitely saw a reaction there. when Susato-san called out like that, it really seemed to hit a nerve. When she called out Kazuma-sama. Fuck. What the fuck? Sorry I'm cursing so much, but like, what the actual fuck? You can't do this to me. Oh, I'm done here. How do I leave? I have to go downstairs, huh? This wasn't here yesterday. Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he was apparently beamed through the air. That's right, the bird cage. According to what Professor Harebrained said in court, it's made of wood. Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. And despite having been in an explosion and then falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed. What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruhodo? I understood that the forensic investigation team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they'd finished the work. I am just in, like, complete and utter shock. But sadly, not with the body inside it. No, that's right. I knew we were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but still. This is too important a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. Bird cage. How are you gonna take that? You'd already met that masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, yesterday, in fact, at Lord Van Zieks' office. See. And if Kazuma-sama really is still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us. I know. We're gonna need to speak to him about that. You're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems. What sort of problems? Foreign affairs problems. Well, we could do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Miss Susato. Of course. About this, Gina. Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleeding trouble. Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Eh, how come? There's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out that this is very high quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. You don't say! Let's have a whiff then. You sure? I don't smell nothing. Gina's adorable. I can't believe Gina's older than Susato. That's what's been screwing me up this entire time. No, we didn't mean that you should smell it. Oh, right. You mean Toby. His smell of scent is so good he can track people over the oceans, can't he? Professor Harebrained informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop. I think he's picked up a scent. So you mean, if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy Cole's workshop? That's right, that's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that. What? Wait, when did you... Once a pickpocket. If I can lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before long. I think that's what she said. Before next week. Oh yes, Gina, I'm sure you'll be promoted. Poor Gregson. Right then, Otto, leave it to me. Sorry? We're gonna get going after that dodgy engineered cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on, someone's supposed to be on guard duty at all time. I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina. Oh, right. Oh well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets it in the neck. It'll be the boss. Poor Gregson again. I am it. Ready, Toby? Got that oil scent, have you? Come on then, boy. See you later. I do hope the scent of that oil leads into that swindler's workshop. Yes, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the Channel to France. What the fuck? I'm in such... I don't know what to... What is happening? Oh my, no wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I'd like to turn on my heels and go straight home. Via the confectionery. Being scared makes you crave sweets? I can understand that. I was looking forward to a reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere. That's strange. He should be here investigating the abduction of the waxwork. Oh well, I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Really? That's it? Okay. To the forensics laboratory, I guess. Ooh, my god, this is a coroner's office, alright. I believe this is it, Dr. Scythe's laboratory. The chemical smell really assaults the nose, and there's plenty to assault the eyes in here, too. Looks as though the doctor isn't here. But we're here now, so we may as well do some sightseeing, don't you think? What a seasoned tourist you become, Mrs. Otto. We could have just a little look around, being careful not to upset any restless souls. Look at all the bottles on the shelves in these cabins. What an assortment of chemicals. Ones here are labeled highly toxic. Ugh, that's worrying, because there are also things that look like salt and pepper shakers in there. Oh yes, and they actually say salt and pepper on them. The doctor probably spends a lot of time in this room, I suppose. Perhaps she has meals here sometimes. Life goes on, even when you're surrounded by death. I actually watched 2 videos by Wired. I think it was Wired, and it was like the mortician answers your mortician questions. It was really cool. He was a really great guy, actually. Very interesting personality. Well, look at this. What a magnificent display case. The cherry wood has been polished to a high sheen, and the intricate carving's a joy to behold. Western cabinet makers are very skilled, aren't they? Do you have nothing to say about the skeleton inside, Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Zato, can't you tell that I'm trying very hard to avoid talking about the terrifying contents of this case? It's how I cope. I'll be sure to remember that from now on. That looks like an owl and a crow up there. I know, and they haven't even twitched since we came in here. Well, no, they wouldn't have. They're taxidermy mounts, Mr. Naruhodo. Ugh, I was afraid you were going to say that. I've been trying very hard to tell myself that they're just sleeping with their eyes open. Yes, I think perhaps you were wise to put something like your Dharma doll on display in the office instead. I suppose this is Dr. Scythe's desk. Ugh. I would not like to work in a place like this. It's very tidy though, isn't it, not Mr. Naruhodo? Imagine how efficiently she must work. The lighting is poor, which is bad for the eyes, and the chemical smell can't be good for you. Not to mention the skeleton watching over you as you work, which is definitely bad for the nerves. Well, yes, those are valid concerns, I suppose. You saw an owl sitting on the road the other night? Wow. I've never seen an owl just like in person. I've heard owls before, I've never seen one. I can just about cope with a one-eyed Dharma doll watching over me, but that's all. He's just staring at you? Oof. A table and a set of sharp tools. When you consider each in isolation, it looks quite innocent. Why is it when you put them side by side, they seem so horribly disgusting? It might be best not to ponder too deeply. Seeing the large tome that's open on the desk does make me wonder, though. How can anyone concentrate on bookwork with this acrid odor of chemicals in the air? You either have to have a cast iron constitution, or a really terrible sense of smell. Those large jars seem to have pale things floating around in them. Those are fruit liquors or something. Or like the pickled umeboshi plums we make back home. Bossy. Hey Rosie, how you doing? Ah, Father had jars like that in his laboratory. Well, I just got done, Rosie, I just got done swearing up a storm at a potential revelation. So, that's cool. I expect that the human organs in a preserving solution, probably examples of some rare medical condition. Miss Susato, there are some things in the world that is perfectly fine to never know about. Oh. So, as I said, I'm sure their fruit liquors are umeboshi, aren't they? Of course. I take it this is all we can do in here, unless I'm missing something big. Okay, so I guess we have to go somewhere we haven't been before. Cholmes ain't home yet? Damn. Nope. He's probably not home. Well, okay, I guess there's nothing much to do here, so let's see. I must have something to do with the forensics lab, but unless suddenly something happened here. Wait. I didn't check. Okay. Oh, the sign says it's meant to spell special exhibit. You have to pay extra, goes like, I know, can you believe that? Pay more money as if we haven't been scared enough already. It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo. That old policeman isn't here now, obviously. I still can't believe he just happened to be on the jury, though. I'd understood that London has a population of 6 million people, and yet... You do seem to run... I've been saying this for weeks! Why do I keep running into the same field? I am so glad the game brings this up. I feel so validated right now. You do seem to run into the same people disproportionately often, don't you? This one's posture reveals his weakness. Sorry? The killer's stance leaves him wide open to attack. I'm quite sure I could see him off with a Susato takedown and then a Susato squash and finally a Susato smash. Right. If that doesn't render the culprit unconscious, a Susato slam should finish him. A Susato slam? I'm sorry, it's rather hard to explain. Leave yourself open slightly and I'll demonstrate. Absolutely not. I agree, Susato for smash. Phoenix who? Oh, what a horrifying scene! A murderer caught in the grisly act. I know, and in case you were wondering, it's the one with the big knife that's supposed to be the killer. I don't think anybody would be in doubt about that, surely. I mean, I think Susato spared their life. Yeah, I don't think she's gonna kill him. And did you know that according to the description, the bathtub at the back has no particular significance? What? Really? I would have thought it was meant to show that the killer were also working in the bathhouse peddling criminal wares. Aha, we have a new theory. Oh, the freaking book. I missed the book. Look at this big, thick book here. It appears to be an accounting ledger. I think it's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think. Oh, that's not... Oh? What is it? It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but, well, only one entry seems rather strange. Really? In what way? They're buying 500 scalpels every month. 500? They must be working really hard on dissecting corpses. I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances, and scalpel blades can be sharpened, too. It does seem a bit strange, you're right. 500 scalpels a month. What could they possibly be using them all for? Oh, Dr. Scythe is about to come in. What are you doing? Oh, that's not the right voice. Sorry, Had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so... So you thought you'd snoop around? That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want? Lord Strongheart told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body, or Mr. Asmon's body, I mean. So we came to ask you about your findings, on Lord Strongheart's advice. Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when we're done, you must leave immediately. Your findings? So, you want to know what the forensic investigation team determined from its examination of the scene? The victim, Mr. Odie Asmon, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion, and the Mr. Asmon who appeared moments later at the pathway of the Crystal Tower, were without question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion. But that can't be right. If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out. Let's see, if two people who looked very similar to each other were involved, if they could made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they? That's very true, but sadly in this instance, that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared were the same person. The fingerprints of the scene make that quite evident. Ah, fingerprints. They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system, but one day, they will be used as investigative aid as a matter of course. Oh my, but that would mean that the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So where does that leave us? My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions. Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to the other. That hasn't cleared anything up at all. It's made the whole thing even more of a mystery. Ryunosuke for Smash. I'd be down. Phoenix, Edgeworth, Henry. Oh god, that's terrifying. Mama, what is this? Ah, well, where did she spring from? Her? And you just called it Dr. Mama? Please take that off. This is a lawyer, dear. Oh, hello. To meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yes, I'm a defense lawyer, but Mr. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Mama? Yes, I got this one up. What? I've never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like. Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see. Boring. I think I just had a near-death experience. Oh dear, Mr. Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse. Let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber. I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months. Yes, it's quite possible that we might know something useful. You're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit. You like the weird, creepy ones? Ah, I can tell. How old is this one? Like, she can't be like more. She can't be like. I don't even know. Like, let me look at the court record. I need to. There's no name associated though, I think. Oh, he's less hot now. Okay. She's not in the record yet. Okay. He was cuter in that picture. Now he's just ugly. I take it back. I take back everything I said. Yes, Iris told me all about his latest unusual venture. So, what are you doing at the moment, Doctor? Keeping a close eye on things so no impertinent Easterners think they can look around my office. Are there such impertinent Easterners around? How terrible. Yes, you. She doesn't mince her words, Miss Susato. I think it's perhaps time we left. Okay, so let me. In this picture, he's fine. There is nothing wrong with this picture at all. He's got the pouty eyes, which I like. Got a very chiseled jawline. He's got Lucius's hair from Fire Emblem. This is not a bad picture. Damn Photoshop, I swear to God. Unrealistic beauty standards for men and women. Here we are again at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't gotten used to the place yet. I'd still like to turn on my heels and go straight home. Via the confectionery, of course. Susato-san really is after something sweet today, isn't she? Eek! What's the matter? Look, Mr. Naruhodo, look at that waxwork. I'm quite sure it wasn't there before. Looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes down to the very last detail. Aha! What is it? Oh, sorry, I think I'll find... That's the temporary waxwork himself. Hey, Queen. Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee. Oh yes, hello again. It's Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I must say, I am quite spellbound by the great detective. He is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs. You don't mean... But yes, but we. The mystery is solved already. Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough. So, as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties. Yes, his habitual duties? Alors, not disturb, huh? Poor Susato-san, she looks very perplexed. I'm gonna have to talk to Sholmes, and then she's going to come in and try to kill me. We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I'm longing to say hello again. But where is he? I love this man. I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually. Oh, what do you... Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I, the world-famous great detective and waxwork, Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Sholmes, my bad. I don't... Copyright infringement, I'm sorry. Please forgive me, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's estate. Susato-san! Susato-san! Snake! My most humble apologies. I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment, via London. My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point. As long as it's not of questionable street food quality. I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes? Merely a secret identity, you understand, though the case is largely solved now. Largely solved? We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume? Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess, I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today for that matter. Me too, buddy. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. How did you manage to solve it so quickly? Ah, well, do remember I said it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone? Oh yes, it's a most modern invention, allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as of yet. This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and at the end, the waxwork was returned. That's amazing! Just between you and I, it would appear that the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event. Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no? Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive. But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary? A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame Dispels at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all. Poor Iris. Now then, do I sense you have some business with this great waxwork? We're in the process of trying to track somebody down. Oh? Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. He's the swindler who duped Professor Harebrained, and the engineer who built the kinesis machine. A swindler and an engineer, quite the modern man. He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. We have so few clues to go on, and that's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas? I have no data yet. It's a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. If I knew something of the man's appearance, at least I may be in a better position to help. This driver's appearance. Fortunately for you, however, I presently have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I should gladly give you my thoughts on it. Let's talk about it. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us? My dear Naruhodo, stay that piercing stare. What is this all about? Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, your words were very clear. So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder. You told us that it was a murder, and you examined Kazuma-sama's body. Indeed, and wherein lies the problem? We met him earlier today, the victim, Kazuma Asagi. You're quite sure? He was wearing some kind of mask, and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Kazuma-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead. Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere of the moment. What? But the fellow wasn't dead at all? Oh my god. Priceless! I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it not, Mr. Naruhodo? I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake, but not you, Mr. Sholmes. I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that. Please, Mr. Sholmes. Tomorrow in court. Did they change the court record, by the way, on the people page? Okay. You'll find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that's all I can say. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print? It says Mr. Enoch Trevor, the face of the engineer we seek. Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. So looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive? Are you all right, Mr. Sholmes? Ah, yes. Forgive me. Very interesting, this. Very interesting indeed. What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruhodo. Will you indulge me? Oh, well, what is it? As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned, and I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, beyond those thick curtains. Oh yes, the Professor exhibit, isn't it? Would you like to see it for a mere 5 shillings? That's a special one-time only price, you understand. What? The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor? Oh, well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone? The price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it's well worth it. Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes? Surely you need not only look at my expression to ascertain if this is seriousness or silliness. I can never tell with you if that's the point. Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings. Gratefully received. So, the special exhibit waits behind the curtain. I invite you to peruse it at your leisure. I am going crazy. This is not real. This isn't real. I'm dreaming. Okay, this is just... No. Let's go see the special exhibit. Through those heavy curtains at last. $5 shillings we've had to pay. Doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into his own pocket, does it? No. We could ask Gina to retrieve it for us, using her special skills. Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. Is this what makes Britain great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands, or chip-loving inspectors. Inspector Gregson comes off rather well on that list, I think. Oh, it's a whole ass room. Oh, jeez, where's the head? Oh dear, I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here. Susato, I say we turn on our heels and go straight home, via a really big confectionery. We certainly can't do that. We've paid 5 shillings already. True. Actually, now I'm looking at it a little more closely. We paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place. This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved. Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about that engineer in here. Didn't he? But where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we? Yes, we will get what we paid for. Is that fear or frustration that making Susato-san's voice tremble? Hello. This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real. Seems to be a young man in a white overcoat. And he has a large shovel in his hand too, look. Perhaps we should investigate in a little more detail. Did it move? What the hell? What's this here? Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera. A camera? But it's so small! British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints? I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. Was he named Professor, ironically, because he didn't have a brain? But anyway, why would the man be in the graveyard at night with a camera? I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film. We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. By looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken. What's a photographic plate? It's a piece of glass coated in special emulsion that reacts to the light coming through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look. You'd see yourself, Susato-san. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you? Is that it? This is a good song. This must be the killer, the fiend known as the Professor. Yes, I think so, according to what Madame Tuspel said. He killed 5 victims, all of noble or royal blood. The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place. I know, it looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? Only had a head, that is. I should... okay. Alright, let's examine the headless thing. So this is the condemned man. That's the so-called professor. Then perhaps his head was chopped off by guillotine, but unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost. Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Miss Susato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see? Then perhaps Mr. Sholmes absent-mindedly forgot to reattach it? That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it? Or perhaps the thief absent-mindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum. And that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means that we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. There's something caught in just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass, and quite a big piece, too. It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than normal window glazing, I'd say. I wonder where where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder? I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength. But why? Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as in a big building, for example. Well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass is broken, too. You don't mean exactly the Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition. But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged inside this waxworks jacket? It makes you think, doesn't it? Oh my god, no. What does that say? I skipped it. Erling was... Huh, interesting. Quite a large lamp the man's carrying. Is it a lantern? It's not like a Japanese paper lantern, actually, is it? Lamp, lantern. What is that word? How do you say that? Chochin? 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 I don't know. Please educate me. I am an ignorant American. The point is they cast very little light. To be walking alone in a graveyard at night with only this, well, I certainly couldn't do it. I'm not sure I could visit a graveyard at all, even in broad daylight, to be honest. Alright, is that it now? What, is there more on this thing? This shovel. What a large shovel. He's holding it rather ominously, isn't he? What on earth was the man doing with a shovel in a graveyard in the middle of the night? Miss Susato, yes? That's a spade, isn't it? No, it's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. We've been through this, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a shovel. No, although we haven't considered trowels. We've allowed ourselves to be distracted. Perhaps we should concentrate on what the man was doing with the implement. So we're going to bury the hatchet? You're right, though. What was the man doing in the graveyard in the first place? That's the real question. Am I still not done with it? Oh my god. What is that? Nothing important. Chochin. Like that, Chochin? Oh, his head, okay. I can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just... Oh, dude. Oh, okay, cool. What on earth? How can... I don't believe it. A black monocle. Mr. Naruhodo, is it possible that this man is... Yes. It's Enoch Drebber. The color of his hair is different, but it's unmistakably him. The fuck? I was thinking that, but I'm... Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Mr. Sholmes. This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe? Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here? And why does this convict behind him have no head? The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved were my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head tout suite, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. A very hungry Iris awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Ugh. Do you know, though, something about this room is strange? Strange? What do you mean? Well, the displays in this House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not? Indeed they are, Miss Susato. Do go on. And as terrifying as they are, the scenes and the other exhibits are believable. But this one... This surely couldn't have ever really happened, could it? I think it's time I educated you a little. About the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago. Thanks, Sholmesy. Resurrecting convict, huh? I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, every one being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies. Oh gosh, an enormous hound? How awful. After taking the life of his victim, this isn't related to the hounds of the Baskervilles, is it? The hound? The killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? So you mean the professor's identity? As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. Oh! The very night he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Came back to life? He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene, as described by the sole witness to this chilling event. There was a witness, but of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat. Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen? Jesus Christ. So this is the waxwork model of Enoch Drebber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old. So horrifying. Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran to a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he's seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Yes, as shown as the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tuspel's. I can understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. What I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place in a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night. Yes, what was he up to? The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, a preposterous parlor tale. But why did people stop believing it? Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution. No, that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and nothing has been heard of him since. It's rather striking then that she should resurface now, don't you think? Of course the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. But Drebber's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie. Ah! What the bleeding order, Otto? What have you gone and done? Gina, what are you doing here? I asked Iris, and she said this is where you'd be, so... Gina, not so loud in the museum. Madame Tuspels will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still had some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so... Alright, Gina, we understand, but please, put down the gun. Sorry, I got scared. You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you here, Gina? What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. We found that dodgy Cole's workshop. What, you found Drebber's workshop? Yup. Toby's nose took me straight there. Boss and the others are heading over there now in a drag, so come on. Here's the address. I've got the bus right out. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then, see you there. This is so great. What the hell? Okay, wake up, Sholmes. You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place. Where are your eyes? In the exhibit over there. Oh dear, someone is feeling sorry for himself. Let's go, Mr. Sholmes, you're coming. Your words harden me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madam would have me... pay monetary recompense and Iris's dinner plate would be emptied once more. Forget that, I'll pay for everything. Then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. No offer to share the cost for Mr. Sholmes, then. I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruto. Thank you, Mr. Zato. Right, let's go. Oh my god, what is happening? What is happening? 23rd October, Enoch Drebber's workshop. What? Why is this here? That looks like... That's the teleportinator! Indeed, it would appear so. They're only a prototype, naturally. Ah, so you got here then. Gina, well done for finding this place. In such little time. You've really worked miracles. It's Toby here who's the miracle worker. Oof. Why does Gregson look like that? I thought she'd show up before long. That's one knitted brow. He looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. Open your eyes, dude. I love the puppy. So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here. Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us a chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't want to say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're hoping to snoop around in here, I'll get cracking. Lord Van Zeeks and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again. I imagine you got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance. And you, Sholmes. Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers. Ha 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 ha! Very droll, Gregson, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous black book model. Alright then, let's see. Okay. Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? It's impressive looking back massage, that's for sure. I've no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Ah. Would you like a massage? Yes. No, no. No, I'm fine, thank you, coward. I had no idea it was such a grand thing. I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks. I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Naruhodo? For your tired... Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shows, of course. He's not gonna let that go, is he? It's curious, though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times. Okay? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow. No loose change dropped on the floor and nothing. Not even a bone for Toby or my dear fellow. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they? I think that's just these two, Miss Suzato. It's a European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside. Oh, do you suppose? Crossbow bolts, these. And just the right size for the bull you turned up at the exhibition grounds. In other words. Yup, that's more evidence to support your theory. All goes to show that Drebber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam. What on earth is this? An aeroplane, Mr. Naruhodo. One day, scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies. Is that how the trick will be described, is it? Sorry? Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it? Oh, well, the model is, yes, but a real aeroplane would actually fly high in the sky. While suspended from somewhere even higher in the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in midair unsupported. So to you, the solution is even taller towers? Oh, real. Oh, there's a ladder here and I can't... Oh. This door doesn't want to open. Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it. There's a specialist locksmith on the way over from the yard, so hands off till he gets here. With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute. Well, you don't have permission, and no one's given it to you. Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that. Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side. No, Drebber must have fled at the first sign of danger. Good. What the fuck? Oh. Is something wrong with Suzato? Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, do you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby? Right, mind the grease. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard. This is some fucking horror shit. I'm not okay. Oh my, someone is in there. Ah, this rotten bleeding lock. My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if it were only countenance, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. Fine, I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blast door. There, you may enter them. You confuse minutes with seconds, I think. Time's of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Oh, Sholmes, nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency. There's a strong possibility that behind that door is the engineer you will seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. Eh? Eh? Oh dear lord, that is dynamite. What? What's happened in here? Why is everything upside down? Rats, there ain't one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. Maybe it was the sound of Drebber running away. But there's only one door into this room. And no windows could have afforded an escape route. Those skylights were too high. The skylights were too high. Why are there footprints on the ceiling? Are they footprints on the ceiling? What are those footprints doing on the ceiling? Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does. Blow me. Larga, your husband was asking for you. What have we here then? Looks like someone was trying to burn something in a hurry. Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints. To what? To that Professor Harebrained Barmy machine, is it? Blimey, if we had these, there'd be no need to muck around and try and investigate all that scrap metal. Well, he's talking to Sholmes, clearly. I don't think he's that much older than Herlock Sholmes. Okay, he's 45, never mind. She's hot. I don't know what the hell's going on here. I still can't believe I was so betrayed by that original picture. There's something of great interest here, too. Does no one see the fucking dynamite? This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, sure. Well, first of all, I think this room, maybe, I don't know, my first theory is one of those, like, rooms where it turns upside down while you're inside it, like it's a ride or something, but, like, there's nothing to hold on to, so. Almost every piece of furniture is upside down. Even Mr. Sholmes' suite is never in this much of a mess. You're in no position to comment on mess, Mr. Naruhodo. But I suppose it's not quite the same thing, is it? I mean, it's not messy in here, per se. It's that everything is literally upside down. But why? That's a very large safe. I don't even suppose Mr. Sholmes could open that lock. Although if you were a thief, you could just steal the entire thing, I suppose. It's bolted to the floor to prevent exactly that sort of underhand trick, Mr. Naruhodo. Well then, you just steal the floor as well, I suppose. I'm sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever is inside that safe must be very important. There's no denying it, is there? They're footprints. Yes, it would appear so. And I simply can't imagine how they came to be there. Isn't there a Susato shoot-up or something? Like a Susato takedown, I mean. I'm no Wonder Woman, Mr. Naruhodo. That would make her almost superhuman, I suppose. That's a really lovely model. It looks just like a real flying balloon. I think it's probably staying aloft on the same principle as a full-size balloon using gas. A green flying balloon. It does have the hallmarks of that amazing deception at the Great Exhibition, doesn't it? Could be. But that the whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? God, if I can imagine if, like, if you didn't investigate the dynamite in time, it would just blow up and kill everyone. Bad ending. Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo, yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make? This. Let's see, I've never seen anything like it. Looks like a bundle. Ah! Mr. Sato, what's the matter? That's a... Really, that's a time bomb, isn't it? What? Did you say? A time bomb? I'm sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly? Eh? Ah ha ha ha! You're truly one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I won't take that as a compliment. Ah, you don't know nothing, do you, Otto? You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance. Oh, well thank goodness, but then, what is it? I see, so that's it. Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter? There are times when I consider my lot most unfair. But never fated to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I've learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Miss Suzette. Okay, a great detective. Okay. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Trevor himself. Oh, but how could you? And the second conclusion is that this small device on the floor is without question completely genuine. Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything. It will be a pleasure. Oh, you deflected the inspector's alert with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done. You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Miss Susato. Oh, yes. I'd be delighted. Alright, here's the logic and reasoning spectacular. I completely... For some reason I wasn't thinking that we'd have to do another one of these. The game is afoot. Actually, it's a yard. Flipped furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had until recently been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling down straight onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that? Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that this technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. What? But the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality. Goodness! The inverted furniture clearly reveals the whole truth about the part that gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Susato. I too was incredulous at first. However, my conviction and my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to the one that was featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact. But then why does it have a clock on it? Most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. It was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier was from the other side of the room. The door was the moment that restoration occurred. The direction was reversed by Mr. Trevor. Okay. Alright, you fell out of bed and that's what happened. Good for you, buddy. Now, let us consider... Okay. What does our engineer friends aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling? A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby squad. Whilst Trevor's aim was singular, to escape. However, there is but one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is. Ah. By inverting the gravity in here, Mr. Trevor was able to fall conveniently onto the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight. What is this, Mario fucking Galaxy? Leaving his footprints behind on the way. But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Trevor have fallen onto the ceiling rather violently? Folding up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape to the skyline was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe was the solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than his rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Explains how, yeah, okay. Alright, Sholmes. What? Topsy-turvy. Once a year we throw a party here in town. Once a year we turn all parties upside down. She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there's just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean. I would say with the man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it's no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But your whole deduction hinges on it. Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. However improbable as it may seem, I cannot believe that Mia read Herlock Sholmes' stories. Ah. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of mine more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Miss Susato lent me once. Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the spell's broken at last. The rope we found was on the floor, wasn't it? Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall. But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall? Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find do ropes. And as evidence as such, you need only look at the mystery we faced in this room, now skillfully unraveled. Oh lord. I think we might have to give Mr. Sholmes the usual helping hand. Oh, I'm cool with that, thank you. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction leaves to oh, you might like that, okay. Yes, you're right. And let's do it quickly before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. If you're ready, then let us resume. Oh. Alright, course correction. To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room, I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. The man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once. Ooh, that's unusually merciless of you, Mr. Stutto. When you have... while refusing to part with the dreams of his anti-gravity device. Yes, I suppose so. Alright, let's look at the topsy-turvy, come on. Well, I wasn't expecting to find such a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure. Oh, look at that. I know, the slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? To be honest, Mr. Naruhodo, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me. I think this would be the answer. I don't know what else would be.
Take that!
Yep. The upright vase. The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me. As you rightly say, though, it appears at first glance that all the furniture in this room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there's nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, as much as it pains me, The gravity in this room was never inverted at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss. Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes. But the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, then there remains one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. It might sound obvious, but it leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally there is an explanation. Yes, What? What? Oh.
Take that!
Yes, the safe combination. Precisely, I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes, last year, when I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book just in case. That's it. But people are forgetful souls at heart, and always make a written note of important information. Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think. And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo? When the day of the draw came round, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it. That's it. But people... okay. Not if you always note things down in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I slipped it. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I've proved my point now. His little face, did you see that? Which is that a similar scenario is clearly unfolded in this room. Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. 432, that's me. He remembered that he'd written it down on the inside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one, leading to the state in which we now find the room. Now, let's consider the... okay. The skylight, okay, cool. Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there? Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into this situation in the first place. Huh? Hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look! Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon, too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became launched, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though? Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid.
Take that!
The reason there are footprints on the shoe. On closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? To simulate throwing an arrow? Shooting an arrow? A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar data. Ah, it was a piece of green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene. Inside the green balloon that Master Gotts claimed he saw that insufferable child saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say, we assume the balloon here is a model of the one used on the day. There's a strong possibility that something may be concealed inside it. Something absconded was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach, hence why he resorted to projectile, namely the shoe. Ah! Most probably Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by sailing with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there were some way we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope! Reach the intended... This is fun. Mm-hmm. Is it the frickin' crossbow? I hope it's the crossbow.
Take that!
Oh, thank God. Reach the intended destination. What better tool than this crossbow? This was found at the scene, in fact, and in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he could have avoided you losing a shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? The head. Ah! What the? A waxwork? Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. We can't see the face inside, that means. Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh, goodness! I see you've joined the dots, Miss Usato. Excellent. Ah, of course, a headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tuspels will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you now surmise, is the head of the infamous Professor. Yes, but why is it here? This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the Professor from Madame Tuspels and returning it sans tête earlier today was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the waxwork abduction are... They're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. What the fuck, man? The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights, obviously the man must still be here in this room. What? And its location should be abundantly clear if you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction. Enoch Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room. Will you do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, of course. Is it the fucking... It can't be the safe. Can it?
Take that!
It's the safe. Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here. Which... That was scary. We could tell that the engineer was in the building at that point in time. The engineer was in building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. And pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process, from which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. Thus conclude, okay, Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Dear God Almighty. What on earth is going on? I'm so like... This is crazy! I'm at a loss for words, y'all. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps we ended this game of hide-and-seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination is 1432582. I knew that. Alright then, here. Oh my god. You got the first number wrong, man. Oh, it can open from the inside. Okay, he wasn't. You found me. What the fuck is this? What is happening? What is wrong with you? It's scary. Right, and sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume. You do know how to win. Correct. You'd better start talking. You tricked Professor Harebrained with that bogus machine you built. And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tuspel's as well. Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions, personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate? Your parcel? I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in a most prominent position. Ah! Ah ha ha, I see. Stunned silence. You are all gearing up to die with me then. You're crazy, dude. Oh my god. Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare. That was too close for comfort. I've got one foot in the grave already. Are you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed? Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they? Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. I guess he defused the bomb. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling. What? Anti-gravity devices don't exist. Phew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. What happened? What on earth happened in here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. What a terrifying smile. Everything in here is precisely what it seems. Yeah, we'll be giving a thorough going over it, don't you worry, Trevor. What failed to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt. Whistling? Ah, that would have been me. Oh. For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly, I must have a screw loose though, because as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down. We also found a rope over by the wall. Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly, the rope was too short, so I set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the ship. He's scary. Having first set this parcel ticking. Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. Got a death wish, have ya? Hiding right beside a ticking time bomb. Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe, it's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it. So in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Precisely. But once you'd climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again. No, there's a valve on the outside. I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the safe door to be unlocked from within. Ah, so it is. I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninviting guests to come along and screw up my plans. Yeah, do you mean to say you were planning to blow us all up? No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. Ah, I calculated the time for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face besides the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth? Oh, Gregson, you're really starting to grow on me, buddy. I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on in here now. But what about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved with recently? Professor Harebrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the Professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong, I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around with me as protection. That's enough! What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here. Yes, well, Dr. Scythe again, so the forensic investigation team are here. And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave at once. My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, there's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Scythe? Hello, Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Scythe? If it's protecting your machine that next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell. You get out. But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Norhodo, yes. It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes, let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said, get out, now, all of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson. Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb sitting here that this lot disarmed. Inspector. Something has given you a chuckle, has it, Trevor? So sorry, didn't mean to offend. You are quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one. Eh? What are you... That one? Yeah, you mean... Oh, fuck. My god. This is intense as shit. Oh no. Oh my god. It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage of the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever. You can't end on that! No! No, you're not allowed to do that. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Stop. No, 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 no. All right, well, it's time for, I suppose it's time for an intermission before I start the trial. So that'll be, oh Lord. Let's take a quick 10-15 minute intermission, and I will be right back. Gonna get some water, take a Ricola, and you know, do whatever. So you guys, I'll catch you back here at hopefully let's say 11 o'clock or 11:55, 11:05 Eastern, somewhere between that. So catch you all in a bit. See you.